Hey everybody, it's Will Landria, and welcome again back to my channel. Hey, let's get into this list again. We went over and I already knocked out Jojo Rabbit, I knocked out Marriage Story, and I knocked out The Irishman. They were all knocked out. But now let's do the middle three movies that I'm actually think that I like, and that would be number 6 would be the next one. And this was getting difficult because I liked all of these movies. I mean, who do I got left? Ford versus Ferrari, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Joker, Little Women. I mean, those were all good movies, and I liked them all. But I'm going to have to say that number 6 is Little Women. And see, now here's the thing. I was a big fan of the other version of Little Women that was back in the 90s with Winona Ryder. I really like, I mean, this is how much I liked that movie. I actually read the book. It made me read the book, and because I was such a fan of it. And it made me realize that the character of Amy, I actually liked the character of Amy, and it's interesting to me that there was a article out, and I think it was Variety, I'm not sure, but it was basically talking about how Florence Pugh refused to play the character as a villain, which is how a lot of people say that the character actually is, which actually kind of makes sense if you think about it, because the whole time throughout the movie, you're set up with certain expectations, and then Amy's character just kind of foils all that and turns everything on its head in all the other movies. But in this movie, it makes it a little bit more. You learn a little bit more about from her point of view. But it's interesting because to me, by reading the books, if you go read the book, she actually has a change of character away from the more selfish Amy from when she was younger to a more mature one that is actually understanding of others. And you see the maturity here, but they don't go into the religious aspect, which is one of the reasons I actually liked it, because it was a relationship that she had with a maid that was actually Catholic, I believe. And so she saw her faith, the faith of this Catholic maid, and then saw that, and that's kind of what helped her change in her maturity. In the book. But in this movie, actually, we see the maturity in here, but a lot of it is actually kind of self-realized. She realizes that she is it's a big scene it's a big scene in there where she actually realizes her lot in life and where she has to go and what she needs to do to actually succeed, because she's in a time when women, they cannot necessarily succeed all on their own. It really is great, and it's a good movie, and I enjoyed all the actors that were in there. Florence Pugh, who did Amy, did a really good job. Also did Saoirse Ronan. She did a great job, and those two together, battling it out, because they were going. It was also interesting for me that they actually had Florence Pugh playing the younger Amy, because in the 90s version, it was Kristen Dunst playing the young Amy, and and Kristen Dunst was great as a child actress, and so you couldn't help, and that was part of the draw too. In that, it was just like, oh my gosh, look at this precocious girl, she's so hilarious. And here, Florence Pugh had to play young and play old, although the young one, she's very petite, so it was easy for her to do that, but I kind of felt like it was an older girl kind of playing like a girl, so that was the kind of thing that but that's just me, because I was such a fan of the 90s version. Emma Thompson, I said this when I did it before, when I said it before, that I didn't quite I didn't quite buy her as an older, as Meg, the older of all the girls. As far as star powers, I can see why they got her, but as far as her actually being the more mature of everyone, I just didn't buy it. And it wasn't like, whereas in the other movie in the 90s, which I keep comparing it to, I actually bought it a lot better. Laura Dern stands out in here, and boy, Laura Dern is having a great year, isn't she? She's in a lot of stuff in the last 2 years, and she's really just kind of standing out. And in this movie, she does a really good job being the mother, being Marmee. Timothy Chalamet, however you say his name. I gotta learn how to say this guy's name because he is popping up in a lot of stuff that I like, and he's gonna be in the next one playing Paul Atreides in Dune. Oh my gosh, this guy is hot. He is getting all the stuff, isn't he? And he did a great job, and it was great to see Bob Odenkirk showing up as the father. Chris Cooper as the next door neighbor, and that was the one thing is a lot of the males that were in here. I mean, besides Timothy Chalamet, he was the only one that was a standout. But I was kind of disappointed that they didn't actually get someone that was a little bit more of star power to play Friedrich Bear. It just seemed weird that they and he looked young. Which is, again, from the book, someone who has actually read the book, it made sense in the 90s when at least the guy was older. He was still good looking, but at least he was older. Here, the guy is young and he's good looking, which is not what the character was intended to be in the novels. He was actually an older guy that was not actually even, he was not even a very good looking man. But, of course, nobody's going to want to watch that. And it was also interesting, the whole aspect of her being the writer, and then her kind of we see her creation through her writing of how she gets together with Bear, and it's actually played for laughs, which again I was kind of disappointed in because I keep comparing it to the 90s movie. I like the ending, how they treated it with tenderness, where here they treated it more like a over the top romantic comedy, that whole scene. But it is what it is. Okay, next. Okay, now it's getting a little harder now because now we're getting into movies that I haven't seen in quite a while. At least some of them I haven't seen in quite a while. Okay, so this is going to be the movie number 5 on my list of what on the rankings, and I'm going with Ford versus Ferrari. And it's been a while since I can't even remember when this movie came out. In fact, I'm just going to post it right there. That's when it came out, and but I remember at the time that I did really like it. Now, as to why I'm putting this one up there, I like that it's a true story, and I do think that Christian Bale, his performance was great, and it was a standout performance. I just loved how his portrayal of this character was, and his tenacity of this character was. And Christian Bale, he's so good at what he does when he performs. Matt Damon was good in this role as well, but it was a bit overshadowed by Christian Bale, and the racing wasn't. There was a write-up that was a complaint about how the director, he knew nothing about racing when he made this movie, and that was his biggest complaint. And I think it was an Oscar voter who said that, and one of the reasons he didn't vote for it. But I didn't think it was necessary because, like, I'm not a racer, so I didn't really notice that there was any inconsistencies in the movie. But as far as the characters were and dealing with a storyline, I thought it was just amazing. And who knew? I didn't even realize that whole aspect, that there was this challenge in Le Mans, and Ford wanted to make sure that they were respected and wanted to get that respect from Ferrari. It was a great story. It was a great story that had needed to be told, and I encourage everyone to go see this. I was kind of at the time, I was not I remember when I saw it, and I actually had when I was first starting my YouTube channel, that was one of the first ones that I actually did, where I had was doing a reaction video, and I did not know what to expect to me it was like, you don't see a lot of these racing movies, but this was great, except for Cars, which, this was an actual story, and it was historical. That was the other thing that was great. It was historical, and it was actually to the time period. There was a lot of complaints that there were no women except for the wife of Christian Bale's wife in there, and there were a lot of complaints that it was secondary. But what do you want? That's what it was. That was the time period. That was the time period of what it was. You could complain there's too many women and Little Women, but this was a good movie, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, and now coming in at number 4 of my choices from the best picture, I am going with Joker. Yes, Joker. Now, when this movie came out, I only saw it once, and not that I wouldn't want to see it again, but I didn't think at the time that there was anything necessary, because really, as for a comic book movie, it really is kind of a straightforward movie. It's not even, doesn't even feel like a comic book movie, which is why it got a lot of it did a lot of money, because a lot of people were finding out, wow, this is like a real story. And there was a lot of talk about, oh, look out there, this is going to cause people to protest, and there's going to be riots, and none of that happened. I don't know what they were thinking when they said, they were thinking that a lot of people were going to start causing problems because of this movie, but it never happened, and I don't think there was any justification in actually having any kind of an announcement like that. But this movie was great. As far as, and it's not what, it's its own universe. It isn't like the Joker. I mean, as far as we know, there are elements of Batman that's in this, but it's not like any kind of Joker we have, because we are seeing it from his point of view. And that is also another complaint that a lot of people have, is that because it's from his point of view and no one else's point of view, we pity him because he is our protagonist in this movie, and we don't have anyone else that is going against him, especially when he starts going weird and crazy. And that's the other thing, is that we are supposed to pity him because of what we know of his history, and that he should be pitied rather than feared. It's an interesting movie. There is moments of violence that's in this movie, but it doesn't happen all that often. But there is violence that is in this movie. There's a really great spoiler, and it really surprises you when it's revealed, and you're like, whoa. That's how I was, and if you saw the movie, what I'm talking about, because I didn't really quite realize, and it makes you see the character in a different light. So Joker is that's my number 4, and I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a great job. Will he win for the best actor? I don't think so. I think there are other actors that are out there that'll win, but who knows, because he's been winning other awards apparently. And that's why a lot of people are thinking that he might actually win for this. Of all the guys that have been nominated, I haven't seen Pain and Glory with Antonio Banderas, and I haven't seen The Two Popes with Jonathan Pryce. So I really couldn't tell you of those two. But seeing of those two, Joaquin Phoenix, Leonardo DiCaprio, Adam Driver, this is where I think that Marriage Story excels, because like I said, the acting is phenomenal. Golly, it's between Leonardo DiCaprio and Adam Driver, I think, because Leo did a lot of really good work, and we'll talk about that later. But as far as Joaquin Phoenix, I don't think he will, because I do think that the performance that Adam Driver put up there is rivals what Joaquin did. I mean, not to say that Joaquin didn't do great, but I think this is Adam Driver's time. Okay, we got through another one. Okay, it looks like we have one more. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this last one, but hey, we got 2 videos out. That's not bad. So I'll let you guys know, and hey, hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends, share with your friends, let them know that I'm here. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next video.